It finally rained where I am, so that means snails are out. So my mother was out walking our dog this morning, and she brought back some snails, so let's look at them. And invertebrates, like snails, slugs, worms, if you know that they are 100% safe, they're not like venomous or poisonous or anything, and you know how to handle them correctly, you can, most of the time, if you know these things, actually interact with them and like pick them up and show them off if you know how to interact with them safely. So this is kind of how you interact with snails. So these are the snails we have right now. There's 3 of them. We've got some lettuce and other greens in there. They're kind of just chilling out at the top right now. So when you're interacting with invertebrates, like snails or worms especially, since they need a moist environment and breathe through their skin, you want to wash your hands before you interact with them, just so it gets rid of all the salt or anything that's on your hands. You want to wash them with just water, no soap initially, just because they might react to it negatively and we don't want that. So yeah, first thing you want to do is just wash your hands, and you want to have them in a secure container with air holes. So this is just got a food container with a strainer or sifter or whatever on top. So plenty of holes, but secure enough that they can't get out. They're also on the counter where my dog won't bother them. So these guys are the Pacific sideband snail. They are a very, very common terrestrial snail that live all up and down the Pacific coast of North America. These guys are literally all over. You find them more commonly after rain when everything is moist, but they are absolutely everywhere. So snails and slugs are what are known as gastropods. They have, snails at least have a shell that are secreted as they grow, so the shell will grow with them. They're not like hermit crabs that have to replace their shells. They also have this foot. They're all curled up right now, so you can't see it, but they have a foot in there that they use to move around and they use to eat. They eat a bunch of things, mostly like plant matter, like this. This is just some lettuce and celery. And you can pick them up, but you do have to be careful when picking them up. You want to be gentle so you don't pull too hard, because it can damage the snail if you pull too hard and like the shell starts to come off. You also want to be gentle and careful not to crack the shell at all. So here's one of them. You can see him coming out of the shell. Well, not him. These are hermaphrodites, so they don't have separate sexes. They both have the sexual characteristics of both of them. So you can see him coming out. He's got his little eye stalk. So these guys are completely harmless. They will not hurt you at all. So if you're careful, you can pick them up, let them crawl all over your hand. You do want to keep them relatively close to the ground or the counter like I am now, just because you don't want it to accidentally fall off and get the shell cracked. Now, occasionally snails can survive with cracked shells. However, they most often don't, because they don't retain moisture as well, and they're more vulnerable to predators, and it's harder for them to move. So you do want to be very, very careful when handling them, just because you don't want to hurt them. You can see him just exploring my hand. Yeah, he's so cute, and his eye stalks are waving around. So he has 2 pairs of eyes. Those are the long ones, and those, I can't remember the exact word, but those other 2 shorter ones are more sensory feeler. So this one's out exploring my arm. This is my mother with the other one.
This one's
coming out. Yeah, you don't really want to let go until it's totally attached onto the arm, just so it doesn't fall off. This one, he's trying to come out. He's a little stuck.
He's coming. Oh, there they come.
Yeah. He's coming out, little feelers. He's stuck onto her arm.
Those are the eyes.
Oh, yeah. The eyes and the feelers. This one, he's coming up onto... Please don't go on my sleeve.
It rained, so that's why they were out this morning.
Yeah, please don't go on my sleeve. I don't want slime on my sleeve.
Go on her sleeve. go on her sleeve.
So the slime is just a mucus layer to help them stay, oh thank you, to help them stay moist, because they do like need that, because that's how they move, that's how they stick to things. Please focus.
Oh, the other one's coming out.
Yeah, there we
too
go.
now.
So yeah, you can see over here they're both out. They're just hanging out. So these are great if you live in this area and have kids. This is a great way to get them to interact with nature.
They're delicate.
Yeah.
You don't want to poke their eyes. Those
No,
are their
yeah.
eyes.
So you want to make sure the kids know how to interact with them safely, make sure they wash their hands before and after, and make sure they know that these guys are super delicate, but they're very fun to watch, they're very fun to play with, and let them crawl around. And then this is a good introductory animal because you don't have to worry about them escaping. They're super slow. They're absolutely incapable of harming anybody. There's focus. They are not dangerous in the slightest.
They're so very cute.
Yes,
Did you say you had some when you were little?
I didn't say that, but yeah, we used to keep these when I was younger. We had them, yeah, in an aquarium. Again, just provide them with food, make sure they can't escape, keep them moist.
Kind of food.
So you don't really, if you don't have like proper setup, you don't really want to keep them long term. Like these guys will be going outside later today, but they are good for if you just want to get your kid to interact with nature more, or just play around with them.
Don't put them in the sun.
Yeah, so when you take them out, you want to put them as close to where you found them as possible, out of the sun, preferably around some plant. No, please get off my sleeve. Can you move it? Thank you.
They're fast, Saudi.
Well, they're fast enough to crawl up, but they're not gonna run away. You don't have to worry about losing it if you're like holding and interacting with it.
They're like, hey.
Yeah, they're hanging out. Yeah, these guys are herbivores too. There are some carnivorous snails, but these guys are not. They eat plant matter.
Each other.
Oops.
The other one's like, hey, what are you doing? On there then.
Yeah, so again, you want to be very gentle picking them up, making sure you don't rip any of the shell.
If their shell breaks, they're in trouble.
Yeah, most of the time. Some of them can survive a little bit if it's not that bad. But yeah, so if you live by these snails, they're super fun to play with. Just make sure you're being safe around them, and they go back outside where they belong after not too long if you don't have the proper time and setup to care for them.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
You can see them if you put them on a screen or something. You can see their mouth underneath, and you can see how they eat. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's called a radula that's used for scraping because they, the mouth is on the bottom of them, so they eat by just like sliming over their food and stuff, so they just go over the plant or the leaf and they eat as they're crawling.
Yeah,
it's down on the bottom. So yeah, these guys, I think my arm's kind of getting sore from holding them, so they think they're gonna go, yeah. That's also why you kind of want to keep them close to the counter so they don't fall off. And yeah, these guys will probably hang out in our kitchen for a little bit longer, then they're going back outside where we found them. Then when you're done, you want to wash your hands just to get all the slime off. You do want to use soap after, so you don't want to use soap before you handle them, but you want to wash well with soap after just to get all the slime and mucus and everything off.